Content warning. The following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Hitlist. You can't escape your face on the news. Don't mess with fate. Locked up in prison, wood chipper running hot. Police on a mission, hope you don't get caught. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. Lies and deception, caught in the storm. Future in question, nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh! Lies and deception, caught in the storm. Future in question, nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh! Whoa, yeah! Yeah, yeah, yeah!
Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
Today we're working with the public protection units.
7 a.m. in a cold, unsuspecting cul-de-sac in the home counties. Hertfordshire police are conducting a dawn raid.
Right! Right!
They have intelligence that suggests two men inside have been downloading and sharing indecent images of children.
There's one downstairs, one downstairs.
They need to work fast to apprehend them
Excuse me, excuse me.
before they have chance to dispose of any evidence.
Come out! Open the door now, police!
One of the men is already on the sex offenders register.
Where's your digital device?
My phone's there.
Okay, what's the pin for that phone?
Once the suspects have been arrested and the area secured, a specialist police dog is brought in that can detect hidden digital devices like memory cards and hard drives. The child sexual abuse imagery found online is getting more extreme. The Internet Watch Foundation found a 22% increase of Category A material, the worst kind of imagery. They've also seen a 380% increase in AI-generated child sexual abuse material in the last year.
It must take a lot of effort, though, in the training.
Back at police headquarters, the minister in charge of safeguarding is meeting some of the police dogs.
I'm telling him where I want him to search, so, you know, if somebody gave me an area, like, we think it's around here somewhere, and he will naturally just go into search mode.
The government is proposing new laws to combat the changing face of child abuse. They include a ban on AI tools with the sole purpose of generating sexual images of children, and the sharing of so-called AI paedophile manuals advising how to use AI to abuse children. It's also proposing up to 10 years in prison for creating a child abuse website.
This problem's only getting worse. Will this even scratch the surface of what you need to do to tackle it?
Look, we're the first country in the world to look at legislating and act on legislating for AI child abuse imagery. Now, this is a global problem and is going to need global solutions, but Britain here, this government, is leading the way on trying to clamp down on this horrendous crime that fuels child abuse in our country. It is a massive battle.
For all the issues AI is creating, it's also enabling solutions to protect young people.
The harm block technology is running deep within this device. And
using a naked adult photo, we're shown how this new software stops the phone camera working when pointed at a nude body.
So we're imagining this is the child now being coerced into performing the act to camera, and the camera just says, I'm not going to let you do that. But as soon as I move it away, the AI says, oh, that's fine. It won't allow the storing of a sexual file onto the camera, but also the technology prevents them from looking at any form of inappropriate content.
And obviously, you know, this is your business, you've got a commercial interest, but just purely on an ethical level, how frustrating is it knowing that there is the technology there, and yet, you know, yes, you've got one phone company on, but there's still plenty that wouldn't have that on?
Hugely frustrating. We would just love to see this groundswell of momentum where essentially parents are going to say, I am not ever going to give my child a device unless it's got safeguarding technology like harm block on it. You wouldn't let your kids play by the side of the motorway, would you? You just wouldn't do it. That'd be nonsensical. Yet every time you let them play with one of these, you don't know who they're talking to, what they're seeing, what they're saying, what they're hearing, what they're doing. You have no control over it, and they typically can run rings around you anyway because they know how these things work better than crusty old relics like me.
You're bringing in new laws. I don't think anyone would deny that those laws are a good thing, but laws are only as good as the infrastructure around them. Will there be more money for this?
Well, we're increasing the funding for policing by over £1 billion next year, and we're increasing the investment for the National Crime Agency, who play the leading role in tackling particularly the online child abuse, which is affecting children and teenagers right across the country. But we also need stronger laws for them to be able to enforce it.
The new legislation can't come soon enough for Hertfordshire Police's child sex abuse team, not just to bring their powers up to speed with the modern age, but to slow down the rapid pace in which AI child abuse is growing.
To switch gears over to some additional local news coverage, this one coming out of Tyler. A new arrest document gives more information about a former Mineola pastor accused of sexually assaulting a child. 70-year-old Timothy Daniel Nall of Holly Lake Ranch was booked into the Smith County Jail on Saturday on a charge of sexual assault on a child. Now, according to an arrest affidavit KLTV requested from Wood County, Nall is believed to have assaulted a young church member while serving as the full-time pastor. During a time span including the fall of 2022, in which Nall is believed to have assaulted the victim, the document says he was serving as the pastor of Mount Pigsa Baptist Church in Mineola. The report says the abuse was discovered through recent counseling sessions with the child, whose family was members of the church during those alleged assaults. The document details statements given by the child, who is said to have expressed a fear of Nall. Now, according to the affidavit, Nall accused the child in his office multiple times during church hours. The child was able to identify the man by use of pictures. And January 27th of 2025, an interview with the child led to the new warrant for sexual assault. Nall was previously arrested for a very similar accusation on a charge of indecency with the child by sexual contact back on July 18th of 2023. In both the 2023 and 2025 arrests, the children reported being lured into Nall's office with candy. Nall bonded out of the Smith County Jail for the 2023 arrest on the same day for $50,000. After being booked Saturday for the newest charge, Nall was then released on a $100,000 bond on Sunday. Again, this news coming out of Tyler. From there, y'all.
This morning, an investigation with disgusting allegations, including sexual crimes against children.
Yeah, 4 people now arrested in this large child exploitation case. Going to show you some of their photos here. These are the people that are now facing charges as investigators announced the arrest on Thursday. The claims include child and animal sex abuse. Some of the details are just too horrible for us to talk about here on TV. There are more than 60 charges in all, including child exploitation, possession of child pornography, things like sexual misconduct with a minor. If you want to learn more about these 4, what they're accused of doing, you can read about the suspects and the accusations. We have a website story up at fox59.com.
2 registered sex offenders accused of engaging in sex acts with an underage girl at an El Cajon motel are scheduled to appear in court here this afternoon.
CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal joining us live from the El Cajon courthouse with a preview of today's arraignment. Kelly.
That's right, and both registered sex offenders were recently released from prison. The list of charges they face are very long and quite honestly quite disturbing. One suspect faces a human trafficking charge. Now, both men are accused of having sex with a 16-year-old girl. Here's what the El Cajon mayor told us this week.
They videotaped the process, and our police found out that there was a videotape, and so they came and got the videotape and arrested both the men.
And 34-year-old Lawrence Cantrell and 70-year-old Michael Inman are due in court this afternoon for their arraignment. We actually got these photos of them from the Department of Justice's National Sex Offender Public website. Friday, police got a hold of that video Mayor Wells was referring to, and the 2 men were arrested. Police say the attack happened at the Motel 6 on Montrose Court in El Cajon, and that Cantrell, who had gotten a hotel voucher through a program meant to help people recently released from prison, is the one who brought the teenager to his room where she was allegedly assaulted by both men. Now, investigators say Inman told them they also had sex with other juveniles in that same room. Police are working on identifying the other victims. Now, meanwhile, their arrests have sparked anger and frustration with the city of El Cajon, who are looking at new restrictions for people who use hotel vouchers.
We certainly don't think it's fair to the people of El Cajon, and what we're finding is there are dangerous people coming into our city and committing alleged crimes.
And that was the deputy mayor of El Cajon, Steve Goebel. Now, the council is set to vote on these new restrictions sometime next week. As for the arraignment that is scheduled for 1:30 this afternoon, we will be there covering it and let you know what happens. Kelly Hessedal, CBS 8.
Back here in the Triad, deputies arrested a 72-year-old man for reportedly sexually abusing 3 minors, and 2 other people are also facing charges for knowing about that abuse and not reporting it. Everett Tedder is accused of sexually assaulting 3 minors between 2010 and 2018. He's charged with statutory sex offense with a child by an adult, sexual offense with a child, and indecent liberties with a child. He's being held under a $100 million secured bond. Jacqueline Sandlin and Jonathan Hamilton are both charged with felony child abuse. They were both given a $100,000 secured bond.
A former athletic coordinator at a Brownsville charter school officially charged with sexually assaulting an 11-year-old student. Dyra Allen Glover pled not guilty to charges of aggravated sexual assault, enticing a child, online solicitation of a minor, and improper relations with a student. He recently worked at Jubilee Academies in Brownsville. Right now, he's in the Cameron County Jail on a $375,000 bond. If found guilty, Glover faces up to 99 years in prison.
And Fond du Lac police have provided an update on the search for a sex offender. As of 4:30 today, Chad Meritz is in custody. Police learned he rented a car. Officials then entered the vehicle into their Flock license plate camera system. and they found the car in a Walmart parking lot. Mertz was then taken into custody.
35-year-old Darren Wilkin and his web designer girlfriend Tiona Moodley made their second appearance before the Randburg Magistrates Court today on charges related to the discovery of an estimated 10 million images and videos depicting the sexual abuse of minors. The two were arrested last month following an international investigation by the FBI. Today, the pair attempted to secure their release on bail, citing various reasons why they should be allowed out. In his bail affidavit, Wilkin told the court that he has no formal employment and can only afford 5,000 rands worth of bail, citing that he only earns 50,000 rands a month by selling online content through various websites. This, however, was rejected by the state, which revealed some of Wilkin's financial transactions dating back to 2023 and 2024, where he generated an income of more than 3 million rand. Moodley, on the other hand, told the court that she is also unemployed and relies on Wilkin for financial assistance. This was also rejected by the state, which used its investigation as evidence, citing various transactions within Moodley's accounts. Senior State Prosecutor Colleen Ryan told the court that the release of the pair would not be in the interest of justice, citing various reasons, including the possibility of tampering with evidence and the two posing as flight risks. Ryan also told the court that during the arrest of applicant 1, being Darren Wilkin, he was careless enough to indicate that if he were to be released on bail, he would conduct his business, quote-unquote, as usual. The matter was then put down for Friday, February 7th.
Well, we begin this morning in Bedford County, where a man was arrested for child sex crimes Friday. 50-year-old Sean Overstreet of Bedford was taken into custody and is facing 10 felony charges of child solicitation, claiming he proposed a sex act via a communication system. He is being held at the Lynchburg Adult Detention Center without bond. If you know anything about this, call the Bedford Police Department.
Good evening. I'm Marley Tuskus. A teacher from Amherst High School is facing multiple felony child exploitation charges out of Fairfax, Virginia tonight. 45-year-old Jeffrey Testa of Amherst was arrested by state police Friday. Amherst Central School Superintendent Anthony Pinella says Testa is an English teacher in the district. Fairfax police announced Testa's arrest as part of a large-scale investigation by its department, and because of this, they are not releasing the specific charges at this time. However, New York State Police tell us Testa was processed at the Erie County Holding Center on the arrest warrant in Virginia and is awaiting extradition.
We're working with Amherst Systems. We're working with Amherst Police Department. They've been notified of this. Obviously, we're working with where this warrant was extradited out of. But the fact of the matter is, right here in Western New York, we want to make sure our kids are in the safest environment that they can be in, and that's why we're pulling together and we're working this case. But New York State Police is just a small part of this whole thing.
State police are investigating whether there are any victims locally. If you have any information regarding Jeffrey Testa, you can reach out to troopers at the number there on the bottom of your screen.
A Newburgh man faces decades in prison for sexually assaulting a child. 34-year-old Kelvin Dubon Rivas has admitted to engaging in sexual activity with a child less than 11 years old. Prosecutors recommend sentencing him to 20 years behind bars, followed by 20 years of post-release supervision. He is set to be sentenced in May.
Well, the man you see here is behind bars tonight after Livingston Parish deputies say he sexually abused multiple minors in the last year and a half. 45-year-old Todd Shockley is charged with 5 counts of sexual battery. Investigators say an investigation beginning in mid-January led to the children involved disclosing the abuse. The investigation is still active. If you know anything that may be connected to this, you can submit a tip via the LPSO app or by calling their tip hotline. That number is 686-2241.
County deputies arrested a man accused of sexually exploiting a minor.
Attorney General Alan Wilson says 25-year-old Darian Saxon faces 2 counts of second-degree sexual exploitation. Investigators with the Lexington County Sheriff's Department say that Saxon was distributing files of child sex abuse material. If convicted, Saxon could spend up to 20 years in prison.
Developing right now in New Jersey, an inmate on the run after he escaped from a health transport van. Police say Nicholas Vutas, a registered sex offender, escaped from the van while on the way to University Hospital in Newark on Thursday. If you have any information on his location, police want to hear from you.
A once trusted Victoria police officer exposed. Alan Hawley's sickening sexual fantasies aired in court after he was arrested with almost 20,000 child abuse files, including 168 hours of video depicting girls as young as 2. A judge calling his offending shocking, grotesque and vile. Hawley kept the distressing photos and videos across 6 devices, including a Samsung phone hidden in his police locker. The father of 2 told one online friend, "I can't wait for my boys to have their own kids, hope they have girls. I miss school drop-off and pick-up." And another, "We should go into business, open up a pedo child-minding company." Today, Hawley wiped away tears as a court heard of how his wife caught him with images of young girls on his phone in 2019, years before he was arrested in 2023. Despite that, she still stands by him, even submitting a character reference to the court. Hawley will enter the prison system not only as a self-confessed pedophile, but also a former cop. It's expected the once senior police officer will be placed in protective custody. A judge will sentence him at a later date. Estelle Grapink, 7 News.
Tonight, a Tascosa High School wrestling coach is facing child sex crime charges.
According to Potter County jail records, 31-year-old Nicholas Herman was booked into the jail on 2 counts of improper relationship between an educator and a student. Amarillo ISD released a statement saying upon learning of the allegation, the district quickly removed the individual from campus and law enforcement was notified. The employee resigned, and the district also made reports to Child Protective Services and the State Board of Educator Certification. We will keep you updated as more information is released.
The National Register for Sex Offenders will be accessible to the public by month end. This is a major victory for advocacy groups who've been pushing for this change. And it comes as a recent study revealed a shocking statistic that over 16,000 teachers have criminal records ranging from sexual offenses to murder. Juanita Duprier is the spokesperson for Action Society and explains why making the sex offender registry public is necessary to protect victims from predators.
We also advocate that the whole criminal justice system should work as it should. So in this day and age, we want to believe that we have the technology and DNA, everything to make sure that there aren't any wrongful convictions. It can still happen that somebody is wrongfully convicted. As it stands at the moment, you can apply to have your name removed from the list. But if you are convicted of something, then the punishment is part of being on the registry. So I don't know. I really don't know what else you can do. We do hope that people aren't wrongfully convicted, but we must trust that the court systems will and the whole criminal justice system will work as it should. Coming to the victimization part, we do understand that it is something that could happen, but again, if our criminal justice system is working as it should, then we hope that people will trust that somebody will get their punishment as prescribed to us in a community, according to the laws of the country, and that we as individuals don't have to step in and punish someone for a crime that they did.
The Sealer Police Department has found probable cause to charge a man for animal cruelty and viewing and possession of sexually explicit material featuring children. In November, an SBD detective received a cyber tip from the Yakima Police Department of CSAM materials on Snapchat. The videos included child pornography, a man watching the child pornography, and animal cruelty. After months of research, the man was identified and arrested in Sealer.
A Cambria County man is facing charges for allegedly raping a girl over multiple years. This is our first look at the suspect. Police say in July, a 15-year-old girl reported that starting when she was 5, now 24-year-old Benjamin Boring has repeatedly raped her near her residence in East Taylor Township. Officials say a witness to the assaults corroborated the girl's account, and Boring denied all allegations against him. His charges include child rape and involuntary deviant sexual intercourse. He's in the Cambria County Prison.
And we're learning more on a homicide investigation in Anderson. The 10 o'clock news, it starts right now. Well, first, we are starting with that breaking news tonight. An upstate principal charged for sexual battery with a student. We know that the student was between the ages of 16 and 17 years old. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Arender. Now, this right here is 31-year-old Kalen Rogers. He is the principal and head track coach of Calhoun Falls Charter School in Abbeville County. However, Rogers was booked into the Spartanburg County Detention Center Friday. Deputies in both Abbeville and Spartanburg County have not said why Rogers was booked in another county, but we know this led that's the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. They are continuing with this investigation. We did reach out to the school for a statement. The chairman of the board saying that he cannot comment on an active investigation. However, his comments right here: we are aware of this situation. The board has acted in accordance with our policies to ensure our school's operational needs are met during this time to ensure no other interruption for our students and families. Now, the chairman did not confirm if Rogers is still employed at the school. However, his picture does still remain on their website.
South Carolina's Internet Crimes Against Children says a man from Somerville has been arrested for charges related to criminal solicitation of a minor. This is 38-year-old Michael Walker II. He's charged with 4 counts of criminal solicitation of a minor and 2 counts of attempted dissemination of obscene material to a minor, facing a potential of 60 years in prison. Investigators say Walker sent sexually explicit images to someone that he thought was a minor and tried to solicit them for sex.
A jury has found a Berkeley County man guilty of multiple counts of criminal sexual conduct with a minor. According to the solicitor's office, James Edward Boley II was found guilty yesterday of 3 counts of criminal sexual conduct with a minor in the 2nd degree and 1 count of criminal sexual conduct with a minor 3rd degree. Meredith Blair joining us here in the studio with more details. What more do we know about his actions, Meredith?
Well, Ralph, according to the office of Solicitor Scarlett Wilson, digital evidence showed that the 57-year-old had sent inappropriate messages, and the victim was only 6 years old when the abuse by Boley started. The child did not actually move to Berkeley County until they were 12. Officials say the abuse continued to escalate until the victim was 13 when they reported it to their family. A release from the solicitor's office states Boley's own family was among those who testified against him. Boley will be subject to the Sexually Violent Predator Act, and a judge sentenced him to 16 years in prison for each count of 2nd-degree criminal sexual conduct and 13 years for the 3rd-degree charge. Now, his sentences will be served at the same time. If Boley is ever granted parole, he will have to wear a GPS monitor and register as a sex offender. Back to you.
The Charleston County Sheriff's Office says a North Charleston man is facing 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor following an online tip. Deputies and members of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force say 31-year-old Dwayne Sumter of North Charleston is facing multiple counts of second-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. We're told that Sumter was arrested yesterday after that cyber tip came in. More than 30 images or videos were uploaded to a Verizon cloud account that belonged to Sumter. He was denied bond for those charges at a hearing today. He's currently being held at the Charleston County Jail.
A man could potentially face multiple life sentences after the Shawnee County District Attorney announced he's filed charges related to multiple child sex crimes. Shawnee County District Attorney Mike Kagay announced today he's filed criminal charges against Joseph G. Pittman, a 40-year-old out of Topeka, related to the sexual abuse and assault of a minor female. Pittman is charged with 1 count each of rape of a child under 14, aggravated criminal sodomy of a child under 14, aggravated indecent liberties with a child under 14, sexual exploitation of a child under 14, promoting a sexual performance, and sexual exploitation of a child under 18, visual deception. The first 4 charges carry a life sentence upon conviction. This stems from a January 17th report to the Topeka Police Department involving sex offenses by Pittman. The investigation into that report found multiple allegations over the course of years. Pittman was then arrested. He's being held on a $5 million bond. The Shawnee County Sheriff's Office is leading this investigation. Anyone with information about these crimes is encouraged to report it immediately.
Right!
Police suspect there are paedophiles inside this house in Hertfordshire.
There's one downstairs, one downstairs. Open the door. Yeah. Come out. Someone get hold of him.
2 men were arrested. 1 was later charged. Dogs that are specially trained to sniff out hidden digital devices searched inside the house and cars. They can sense the presence of key pieces of evidence. Their handlers showed Home Office Minister Jess Phillips the kind of devices dogs have detected.
So when we do those multi-agency operations in that discipline, the dogs might be the key between taking that vehicle apart, or that house apart, or not, or just moving on by.
So we are here today seeing the amazing digi dogs that can smell out people's hard drives. I have to say it's been fascinating to watch them today, and coming here is part of announcing a series of measures and legislation that we will put in place to essentially make it so that we can crack down on the worst online child abuse, which is a growing problem.
And what's now happening is that AI is putting this on steroids, and it is making it easier for perpetrators, for abusers to groom children, and it's also meaning that they are manipulating images of children and then using them to draw and to blackmail young people into further abuse. It's just the most vile of crimes. So what we need to do is to strengthen the law, and that includes banning some of the sort of AI models being used for child abuse, but also banning some of the paedophile manuals, effectively these AI manuals that are being used. The National Crime Agency does immensely important work, but they are saying these further powers are needed, and they will then be able to use them to get prosecutions to keep more children safe.
Field preyed on a 17-year-old girl who lived down the street and got her pregnant. Channel 11's Serafina James joins us live tonight. And Serafina, despite being a Megan's Law offender, neighbors you spoke to had no idea about this man's past.
David, they had no idea, and they said that further highlights Megan's Law and how everyone in the neighborhood should know who's living next door. In the meantime, tonight we're taking a closer look into the suspect's past and present.
If you go on the state's Megan's Law site, you'll find 28-year-old Elmo Thomas Hartsfield III there as a registered sex offender. However, Hartsfield is back behind bars after police say he was in a relationship with a 17-year-old girl, including impregnating the teen and filming her performing a sex act.
The problem may lie in the fact that a sex offender from just several years back
was allowed to do it again.
The criminal complaint states the teen's mother reported the inappropriate relationship to police and that Hartsfield and the victim lived nearby each other. A neighbor says what happened is baffling.
I think it's unfortunate that it happens anywhere, but the area here in New Kensington is no different than where it can happen or when it can happen.
Back in 2017, Hartsfield was convicted of sexual abuse of children and possession of child pornography. Because of that, he has stipulations when it comes to being around anyone underage. He also isn't allowed to use the internet.
Maybe there should be better constraints and practices to them see that they're under more constraints and under more control so it doesn't happen again.
And court paperwork shows there were several text messages between Hartsfield and the victim, making him aware that she wasn't 18 years old during the time of some of these alleged crimes. In the meantime, he's now in the Westmoreland County Jail on a $40,000 bond. He'll be in court later this month.
Staying in Lackawanna County, a woman will spend more than 2 decades behind bars on child pornography charges. Investigators say 26-year-old Michaelia Hevener created inappropriate images and videos with a toddler over a 9-month period in 2023. She then sent them to a man in Iowa who has pleaded guilty and is awaiting sentencing.
Let me address another issue that came up yesterday in the opening phase of this nomination hearing, and it's the issue involving child pornography. I want to turn to that issue because it was raised multiple times, primarily by the senator from Missouri, and he was questioning your sentencing record in child pornography cases.
These are some of the most difficult cases that a judge has to deal with because we're talking about pictures of sex abuse of children. We're talking about graphic descriptions that judges have to read and consider when they decide how to sentence. And in every case, when I am dealing with something like this, it is important to me to make sure that the children's perspective, the children's voices are represented in my sentencings.
Guidelines called for 10 years. Prosecutor wanted at least 2. You gave him 3 months. And when you did, you made a number of arguments and statements in the record, and I'd like to go through some of them. You say, and I quote, "I don't feel that it's appropriate to increase the penalty on the basis of the number of images or prepubescent victims," meaning little kids, "as the guidelines require, because these circumstances exist in many cases, if not most, and don't signal an especially heinous or egregious child pornography offense," end quote. I just want to ask you about that because I just have to tell you I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it.
As a judge who is a mom and has been tasked with the responsibility of actually reviewing the evidence that you would not describe in polite company, the evidence that you are pointing to, discussing, addressing in this context is evidence that I have seen in my role as a judge. And it is heinous, it is egregious. What a judge has to do is determine how to sentence defendants proportionately consistent with the elements that the statutes include, with the requirements that Congress has set forward. Unwarranted sentencing disparities is something that the Sentencing Commission has been focused on for a long time in regard to child pornography offenses. All of the offenses are horrible. All of the offenses are egregious. But the guidelines, as you pointed out, are being departed from even with respect to the government's recommendation. The government, in this case and in others, has asked for a sentence that is substantially less than the guideline penalty. And so what I was discussing was that phenomenon, that the guidelines in this area are not doing the work of differentiating defendants, as the government itself indicated in this very case. It's not just about how much time a person spends in prison. It's about understanding the harm of this behavior. It's about all of the other kinds of restraints that sex offenders are ordered rightly to live under at the end of the day. The sentences in these cases include not only prison time, but restraints on computer use, sometimes for decades, restraints on ability to go near children, sometimes for decades. All of these things judges consider in order to effect what Congress has required, which is a sentence that is sufficient but not greater than necessary.
The South Carolina Attorney General says a Somerville man has been arrested on child sex abuse material charges. 32-year-old Brandon Scott Wood is being charged with 20 charges in connection with the sexual exploitation of minors. The Attorney General's office says Wood was arrested on Wednesday.
After pleading guilty to grooming and sexually assaulting 9 boys over the course of a decade, today former Beaconsfield Primary School teacher Nicholas O'Shea walked free.
Do you think you deserve to be released without jail, Mr O'Shea? Would you like to say sorry to them for what you've done?
It's been a pretty traumatic, 8-10 years.
Those he hurt let down by a sentence they say is far too lenient.
Potentially like to see some jail time, that's for sure.
To do what he did is just, I've got no words for it.
He should have gone to jail.
There's no consequences. What message is he sending out to other people?
The 30-year-old pleaded guilty to 13 charges, admitting he preyed on boys he met through school and local baseball clubs between 2012 and 2023. The court heard the former teacher sexually attacked 2 boys while they slept and sent hundreds of explicit messages to other children on Snapchat. On sentencing, the judge said O'Shea's offending involved a significant breach of trust and moral culpability must be seen as high.
O'Shea has avoided 12 months in jail through paying $2,000 and agreeing to undergo a sexual offenders rehabilitation program, although a breach of his conditions will see him locked up. He will also serve 300 hours of unpaid work as part of a community corrections order.
O'Shea will be registered as a sex offender for life. The boys he abused now focused on healing.
Yeah, they're doing really well, and
would the offender please introduce yourself for the record, stating your name and DOC number?
Andrew L. Mitchell, Senior, 436555.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Let me explain the process to you. First, I will read information into the record, then the board will conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who have indicated to speak to have their input. We have 2 who are here in support. We have Ms. Diana El Hamacho, sister, who will be speaking, and Ms. Audrey Howard, aunt, who will also be speaking. In opposition, we have Ms. Ethel Legine Peak, who is a victim, who will be speaking in opposition. With her is Ms. Ashley Mitchell, victim, who will also be speaking. We also have Darius Credit, who is the VAC at Baton Rouge District PNP office.
Okay.
At the end, Mr. Mitchell, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand the process, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the case for Andrew Mitchell, DOC number 436555, date of birth, March 23rd, 1960. Classified as a first felony offender. Offenses: molestation of a juvenile, 2 counts, forcible rape, 3 counts, aggravated incest, 2 counts, oral sexual battery, 2 counts, incest, 1 count. Sentencing date, May 4th, 2001. Sentenced to a total of 40 years. Parole date, August 1st, 2021. Good time, September 16, 2030. Full term, February 6, 2039. Is this information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Kelsey.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Mitchell, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. And you, sir?
And how old are you?
I'm 61 now.
How long have you been incarcerated on this sentence? 40 years.
23 years.
What do you currently do for the facility there?
I'm a clergy 3. We work in conjunction with the chaplain and the director over the Bible college. And we do a lot of community work with the offenders. I play for a lot of the services here, and we do a lot of cell block ministry. We give out care packages, we pray, we go to the hospitals, and we see about the sick and pray for the sick and the infirm, and a lot of community service.
When's your last disciplinary write-up?
2016.
What?
I had too many things folded up on the foot of my bed, and my bed area was not in compliance with policy.
Okay. How many disciplinary write-ups have you had since you've been incarcerated?
I have 3 low court write-ups.
That's it.
But none for disciplinary disobedience or defiance or anything of that nature.
And have you taken sex offender treatment?
Yes, sir. I've even facilitated that.
Okay.
And I have a reference letter from Dr. Cohen, who initiated it.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So again, this is a pretty significant crimes you committed here. This is this is pretty significant. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned? What have you learned to help yourself? I mean, what?
Well, Your Honor, my first week into incarceration, I knew that I had messed up terribly. I knew that I had lost my mind, and I needed to figure out what was going on. And so from that first week, I decided, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I need to change. I need to improve. And the only way I knew I could do that was to re-educate myself and to take the required programming that the state offered, because I really wanted answers to why I was such a prurient and deviant person. And especially, how could I do that to my daughters? And I've lived with the horror of what I've done every day and every year. And I wanted to prove, not through just saying that that I'm sorry and remorseful and regretful, but I wanted to show it. I wanted to let everybody know that I was truly remorseful. And the only way I knew I could do that was to take the proper procedures to change and make improvements to my life and my thinking. And I've had a paradigm shift in my thinking. I've had a conversion in my understanding, and I was just, I knew I was messed up and I needed help. I needed to change and improve. And I wanted to do that because I love my family of affinity and my family of consanguinity, and I've embarrassed them and shamed them. And I never wanted that. I wanted to be a good daddy, a good father, a mentor, and a friend, and be an example to everyone. I was just a perverted person, a misguided individual. But I've taken all the necessary and relevant steps I could to improve and to raise my cognition, my understanding of my crimes, because I want to be a better person to my family and a better father to my kids. I want to leave a legacy of goodness and a reputable reputation before them. I don't want to die with this hanging over my head or theirs. And I'm truly sorry for what I've done to them. And the things that I've put them through, they didn't deserve that. And they don't deserve it. And I take full responsibility for this. I'm guilty, and I pled guilty from the beginning because I never wanted to put them through any more of the embarrassment than I already had. And I'll live with the horror of this crime for the rest of my life. And I understand that it's horrendous, but Your Honor, that's not who I am today. That's who I was. And I've taken every relevant program and everything beyond, over and above, because remorse and contrition and repentance has to be demonstrated, not just merely stated.
What's your plans if you were to be released? Where are you going to go? What you going to do?
Well, I'll be living at my mother's house in St. Francisville, and I have a lot of support from the churches around. I'm an accomplished musician, and these people have watched me for 18 years, and they know me, and a lot of them will support me. I plan to get me a job, and I plan to open up a ministry of my own. And I have a lot of support, a lot of family. They're there with me right now. They've been supporting me for 23 years, even though I didn't deserve it. They've been right there. And I can't tell you how sorry I am, because I had a good family, great kids, beautiful wife. And I just let everybody down. And I live with that embarrassment every day.
Well, you like I said, it sounds like you're trying to get a plan out there, but understand you're going to have some sex offender stipulations. It's going to be kind of difficult just to hey, open up some type of church or ministry. I mean, that you're going to have some specific stipulations, don't you? I mean, it's going to be difficult when you get out there. Where you can be, who you can be around, all those things.
Right. Yes, sir. I'm willing to do. I believe in the law. I respect the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen, I believe now, more appropriate, more apt to live within the means of the law, but do what I need to do to try to fulfill my dream as an individual within the community. I want to be an asset to the community, not a liability.
Now, were you on drugs and alcohol when you committed these terrible crimes?
No, sir. I don't drink and smoke.
Never have.
Oh, I have, on occasion, but it was
At
never.
The time you weren't.
No, sir.
All right, Warden, you have any comments?
He is a recent graduate, as he stated, back in May of 21. He is doing some work with the offender population in that context at this point. It just also needs to be noted that he was one of these guys that was in his last phases of his 100 hours. He actually only had one class left when we got shut down last time because of COVID.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will we'll hear from Miss Audrey.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead and make a brief statement.
Yes, my name is Audrey Howard, and I'm the aunt of Andrew Mitchell. I watched this young man grow up, and this is the first time seeing him in 23 years. We communicated through email, but he was one of 10 children, and he was the one that was running the church all the time, learning to play the organ and the piano so he could play in church. And when I got that news, I couldn't believe it, because this wasn't the person that I have seen grow up. And I knew he loved his family. I knew he loved them. But I think what he may have failed to tell you was he started hanging out with some older gentleman that was in the church. And something happened, something changed. I don't know what. And I can't speculate what. I'm not making excuses for him. It was wrong. What he did was wrong. But I'm here in Georgia. I came home for Christmas, spent some time with his mother. Is 92 years old. And she's been telling me all these years, and she told me this time, she said, I hope I live to see Andrew walk out. And I'm here today to represent her because she can't. And I was watching TV yesterday, and there was a man here in Georgia. He killed 4 people 30 years ago, and he's up for parole already, you know? And I'm a Christian. I believe in second chances. And I'm hoping and praying that Andrew can get that second chance to achieve that goal that he so wanted to.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Thank you. I apologize, Ms. Perwise. I see you had a question.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Mitchell, tell us about the time that when you were working for Prison Enterprise.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I was working for Ms. Mary Reese, the chair plant at DCI, and I became her graphic designer. I designed the seals, and like the seal behind you, I designed those seals, a lot of them for the chief police chairs of various parishes. I did her clerical work, her monthly work, her annual work. And I did that for 5 years, I believe, until I came here to Angola for the Bible College. Yes, ma'am. But I had a good time working with Ms. Reese. Never any problems.
Good. And you got a bachelor's of arts degree in Christian ministry from the Bible College. Is that correct?
And an associate's, yes, ma'am.
And an associate degree. Okay. What's your associate degree in?
The same thing, ministry, theology, and theology. Yes.
Okay, I just want to put that on the record, sir. And you also did a moral compass 20-week class in trauma healing.
Yes, ma'am, and trauma healing. Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I had. I just wanted to put those items on the record.
All right, thank you. Now we'll hear from Ms. Diana.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Parole Board. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of my brother, Andrew Mitchell Sr. I speak not only for myself, but I speak for my family as well. And telling you that I too believe that Andrew has really learned from the crimes that he committed. He's very remorseful. I know that since he's been in, he has really worked hard to be a stellar inmate. He has really worked hard on his education. He did not have any type of crimes whatsoever before this crime was committed. Yes, it was a really shock to our family, but I can tell you that if he gets the second chance and have an opportunity to come out, I will tell you that he has a lot of support. He has a lot of support mentally, emotionally, financially, religiously, and as well as family support. We are all here to support him and to ensure that he can be an asset instead of a liability. I don't think in any type of fashion that he is going to be harmful or hurtful to any individual. That's just not the person Andrew is. He has a heart of gold. He's just was a stellar individual in the community, to his family as well before this crime took place. I believe at the time that the crime took place, Andrew, was not himself. He made one huge mistake, but I believe that he has realized the mistake that he has made, and he is really remorseful, and that this is a mistake that will not be repeated on his behalf. He has the full support of
Thank you, Miss Diana.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll hear from Miss Ethel. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay. My name is Ethel Legine Peak. I am the ex-wife of Mr. Mitchell. I do believe in forgiveness, and I have forgiven him, but this does not mean that I want him just to come out, because my children, I've lost one daughter who he molested. My daughter, Ashley Mitchell, is sitting here next to me. She is 36 years old, 37, excuse me. She has a master's in sociology, and she's afraid of people. She doesn't even want to be around people. This is not a neighbor that Mr. Mitchell molested and raped. This is his own children. My son is named Andrew Mitchell II. He will not even answer to that name. So I understand that Mr. Mitchell may be a stellar whatever, but I'm still dealing with my children who he has hurt. And my daughter is sitting here next to me now. She's 37 and she still has nightmares because the man who was supposed to love her, nurture her, protect her, was the man who violently raped her.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I know we're from Miss Ashley.
Hi, I'm the victim, the daughter of the prisoner. I'm strongly opposed to his release. If you're not opposed, then that means you can look at your own children and molest and beat them without remorse. His other family, his mother, sisters, brothers, are supporting his release because they feel guilty for his behavior. They have not tried to reach out to me and my other siblings to see about our welfare or mental state. They should probably be in there with him. I do have hard feelings toward them. Not only should he not be released, he should be euthanized, and I'm not understanding why he isn't. This isn't a robbery or an arson. This is a man posing as a man of God who can rape and beat his own wife and children behind closed doors for many, many years. Prison is the safest place for him to be. And if not, then he should be with the God that he loves so much. I have my own children, and I could not look at them and do something like that to them. And I don't understand why this human can and be even considered for any type of release. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. All right. Mitchell, you can make a statement on your behalf.
Me?
Yes, you can go ahead and make a statement on your behalf to the board. Make a brief statement to the board.
I'd like to say, Your Honor, I understand the way they feel. They have the right to feel that way because that's the condition I left them in. And I take full responsibility for that. Ashley Legine, I'm sorry that.
Speak to the board. Speak to us. Speak to us.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry that I betrayed their trust, Your Honor, that I hurt my daughter. I'm sorry that when I should have been their protector and provider, I only cared about my selfish cravings and my lust. Your Honor, I made bad career decisions, and those decisions caused friction between Legine and I. And as a result of that, I became depressed. And from that depression, I gave up on life. I didn't want to live anymore. And from that depression, it reverted me back to an old addiction of pornography on the web. And from that, this transpired. But Your Honor, I have learned, I've taken every necessary procedure that I could to earn trust and trustworthiness again, to show that I understand that I hurt not only my primary victim, my daughter, and my secondary victims, my families, and my tertiary victims, my community and society. I let everybody down, and I understand that. But Your Honor, if you just give me a chance at an opportunity to prove that I can be a responsible person and an upstanding person in the community, I can. And I am so sorry. I live with the horror and the repulsiveness of what I've done to my daughters. I didn't want to be that type of person. I made bad decisions, and I take full responsibility for my bad decisions.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I'm prepared to vote. I'll vote first. Mr. Mitchell, gone over your file extensively. You've been working hard. You've put a lot of time in. You've done a lot of work. You've taken a lot of classes, necessary classes, and you continue to work. You're right. You've caused all kind of damage. All kind of problems for your family members, and what they've had to go through. But you're working hard to improve yourself, and I can see that, and I understand that. But sometimes you can take every class in the world, but sometimes time is what you need. And just listening to you and listening to what I have found, based on the nature of the crime and the strong victim opposition and law enforcement opposition, you can still take more programming and maybe a little more time. My vote would be to deny your parole today. Again, keep working hard and see how you handle, some bad, not good news on my end. We'll see how you handle it next time you come up. But today, I vote to deny. Mr. Jim Wise.
Are we done?
No, Mr. Jim Wise.
At this time, I'm going to be voting. I tell you, I was going over your file a lot the whole time we was doing that. And I tell you, it was really stuff there. I read over it last night, and I looked at it again, and there's some strong opposition to your release. I know a lot of this stuff you can't change, but let me tell you something. You can't change that, but keep changing yourself. Keep changing yourself and keep working hard. Don't look back. Keep working hard. To the family and the victims, I'm sorry for everything. I know this hearing and everything, but this is a law that we have to have these hearings. Today, my vote is to deny. I think you need more program, your criminal history there, and your strong victims opposition. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Pearl.
Again, I want to just commend the victim, their family for showing up today. It was very courageous. When I read the report, I think you're just as courageous as you was at age 14. When you Yeah, I just want to commend you for that. This is a hard case, Mr. Mitchell. It's a hard case. And like you've already said, you can't undo it and only move forward. But for me today, my vote is to deny as well for the reasons already stated. And I appreciate all you doing at the Angola community. Keep up the good work.
All right, you have 3 votes to deny today. Your parole's been denied. Good luck.
Thank you.
Wow, there is something just so disturbing, but so empowering, disturbing about this hearing and about this cockroach and about the relatives of support, but empowering about seeing the mother and the daughter unite like that. And like Miss Wise said, you know, courageous at 14 and courageous now. And look at she's like owning it like a boss. I want to hear her speech again because that was like a mic drop speech. Incredible.
neighbor children that name and hurt, rape,
Then that means.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I know her from Miss Ashley.
Hi, I'm the victim, the daughter of the prisoner. I'm strongly opposed to his release. If you're not opposed, then that means you can look at your own children and molest and beat them without remorse. His other family, his mother, sisters, brothers, are supporting his release because they feel guilty for his behavior. They have not tried to reach out to me and my other siblings to see about our welfare or mental state. They should probably be in there with him. I do have hard feelings toward them. Not only should he not be released, he should be euthanized, and I'm not understanding why he isn't. This isn't a robbery or an arson. This is a man posing as a man of God who can rape and beat his own wife and children behind closed doors for many, many years. Prison is the safest place for him to be. And if not, then he should be with the God that he loves so much. I have my own children, and I could not look at them and do something like that to them. And I don't understand why this human can and be even considered for any type of release. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. With speeches like that, I don't need to say anything. That is poetry. He's set to get out in 2039. This hearing took place in 2022. The sick thing is that I think it was every 2 years you could have parole. Now I think that they passed a law for these type of crimes where it will be every 5 years. Like the law is passed, but I don't know if it's grandfathered in because of his hearing date or if it's retroactive. So his plan when he got out was to open his own ministry. Can you even imagine? He was in the ministry. His relatives said, he's a great guy. He's a stand-up guy. This is the only time this happened. He was hanging out with these old guys at the ministry. Like, what? Oh, yeah, he's hanging out with old guys. And they turned him into a monster. I agree. That man needs to be euthanized. And the relatives that came to support him need to be in prison with him because they are nuts. Enablers, deniers, risks to society, in my opinion. The woman You have to make a choice. Just think about this. You have to make a choice. Your granddaughter or the man that did those things to her. You have to make a choice. Your niece or the man that did those things to her. You have to make a choice. Your sister or the man that did those things to her daughter. It's like, how do you pick the man who did that? How? It's nuts. You have to be absolutely nuts. And he wants to open a ministry. Oh my goodness. I mean, you can't make it up. And they're sitting here, in support of him not showing their faces. They're cowards. And you have the survivors proudly showing theirs in defiance of everything this roach tried to do. It didn't destroy her. Look what she's accomplished. His speech was, he wanted to puke when he said it. I gave into my lust. When he started off speaking, I just want to be a good daddy. I wanted to jump through the screen and rip his face off. If you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it. Still, somehow, a judge only gave him 40 years, which is the high end for these things. That's actually the high end of Louisiana. I mean, we've seen cases where they get 6 years for the same crimes. 2039. He is today 63 years old. So in 10 years, it'll be 2033. That would make him 73. In 6 more years, he'll be 79. It's still young enough to hurt a lot of people. He's in Angola. But this is why we do this. Because if you didn't see it, you might not believe it. With that, I'll let you go.
Yeah, my mother told me there'd be days like this.
Now Brighton's got your dirty
you. Wood chipper's hunger grows for truth. Your fate is sealed by the lie you breathe. No mercy for the vile and diseased. Guidance hunt will never cease. Ugly truth laid bare for peace. You thought you'd slyly slip away, but justice comes for you today.
Say, excuse me, Judge. How many times do I need to show these videos until people become aware?
Multiple times.
Happy birthday, dear Ellie.
Now, Ellie, remember, this is our special secret.
Peanut butter. 1 in 5 children is sexually abused before they turn 18.
Make a wish, but remember, it's a secret.
Do you know the signs? I just want everyone to go home. Learn more about the risks of child sexual abuse at sapria.org. One for a rainbow, one for Amanda.
Who you playing with, sweetie?
Amanda.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Amanda. I'm 6, and I love unicorns.
Sexual predators are seeking kids online.
We don't know Amanda.
Learn how to report abuse at end-violence.org/protect.